to this community, to the ones who keep returning to this space, who trust it with the parts of their story that are still tender, still unresolved, still quietly hoping. Thank you. I carry what you share here into every reading that follows. It shapes the energy I bring. And to those arriving for the first time today, I want you to notice something before we even begin. You did not hesitate when you saw this title. Something in you moved immediately, a recognition, a pulse of something warm and slightly nervous at the same time. That response is information. It is telling you that what this reading is about to say is something a part of you has already been feeling. Now let us go in, because something is about to be said out loud, and it is going to change things. There is a specific kind of silence that exists between two people when something important is waiting to be spoken. Not an empty silence, not a comfortable silence, a full one, weighted with everything that has been accumulating in the unsaid space between them. With every moment where one person almost began a sentence and then pulled back. With every conversation that moved close to the edges of the real thing and then retreated to safer territory. With every look exchanged that carried more than what was being said, and both people knew it and neither person named it. You know, this silence, you have been living inside it. And what I am here to tell you today is that it is about to break. Not from your side, not because you finally ran out of patience or pushed for clarity or made the conversation happen through sheer force of will. From their side, because something has shifted in them, something has completed itself, something that was not yet ready has finally fully arrived at ready, and they are preparing to speak. Let me describe what I am seeing. There is a figure in front of me, and the quality of their energy is something I want to describe very precisely, because I think the details matter for how you receive what is coming. This person is not impulsive right now. They are not in the grip of a sudden emotional surge that has temporarily overridden their usual caution. They are not about to say something they will later need to qualify or walk back or soften into something less than what it first appeared to be. What I see in their energy is the opposite of impulse. I see deliberateness, the quality of someone who has been moving toward a moment for a long time, who has rehearsed it, not in the performative sense of scripting what they will say, but in the internal sense of sitting with the truth of what they feel and what they want until that truth became impossible to continue holding privately. Until the gap between what lives inside them and what has been expressed outwardly became too large and too uncomfortable to maintain. They have been sitting with something, and they have sat with it long enough that saying it has become more necessary than the safety of not saying it. I want to talk about what this talk actually contains, because I think you deserve to know, as specifically as the energy will allow me to be, what is waiting on the other side of the conversation that is coming. I see clarity, not the partial clarity of someone who is feeling their way through something uncertain and sharing the uncertainty as they go. Full clarity, the kind that arrives when a person has genuinely done the interior work of understanding what they want, why they want it, and what they are willing to do to have it. The kind of clarity that does not leave the other person guessing or reading between lines or wondering what the subtext means. What they are about to say to you is going to be clear. I also see intention, not attraction, dressed up as intention. not interest that has not yet decided what it wants to be. Actual, directional, forward-moving intention, the kind that points somewhere specific, that says not only what is true right now, but what they want to be true going forward and what they are prepared to actively participate in making real. And underneath both the clarity and the intention, I see something more tender than either of those things. Something that is harder for this person to say than the clear and intentional parts. Something that requires a different kind of courage than the courage of making a decision, the courage of being seen, of letting you see exactly how much this matters to them, of removing the last layer of managed distance and standing in front of you without it. That tender thing is coming too. All of it together in a conversation that has been a long time building. There is an image that keeps surfacing as I sit with this energy, and I want to describe it carefully. I see a door, not a threshold between two different kinds of space, the way I have described doorways in previous readings. This is specific. This is the door to a room where a conversation is about to happen. And what strikes me about this image is not the door itself, but what is happening on the other side of it. I see this person standing there in the space just before the conversation begins, in the moment that belongs only to them, before you are present, before the words have been spoken, before the thing that is about to change has changed yet. And in this moment, in this private in-between space, they are not uncertain. That is the detail I keep returning to. That is the thing in this image that feels most significant. Because I think part of you has wondered in the quiet moments whether the conversation you have been waiting for would arrive with hesitation, whether it would be hedged and careful and delivered with so many qualifications that the essential thing would get lost in the architecture of self-protection around it. It will not. This person has resolved whatever needed resolving before they could stand at that door without uncertainty. The work happened privately, in their own time, in a way you were not necessarily witness to, but it happened. And the person standing at that door right now is not someone who is still in the middle of figuring out what they want. They know. And I want to speak to something that I feel in the energy of several of you watching this, a very particular kind of holding of breath. Because when you have been waiting for something for a significant amount of time, when you have been managing your own hope carefully, keeping it at a size that is survivable if the thing does not come, there is a way in which the news that the thing is actually arriving produces not pure relief, but something more complicated. Something that is relief and disbelief woven together, that wants to receive what is coming and also cannot quite allow itself to receive it fully until it is actually happening. That is bracing slightly even for good news, because the body has learned through experience that hope can be costly. If that is where you are, I want to say something to you directly. It is safe to breathe. What is coming in this reading is not a near miss. It is not something that is going to arrive close to what you hoped for and then reveal itself as something less. The energy around this conversation is not ambiguous. It is not something you are going to have to interpret generously or talk yourself into believing was positive. It is going to be unmistakable. Let me describe another image because it deepens what I have been seeing. I see two chairs facing each other, close enough for genuine intimacy, the kind of arrangement that is not accidental, that someone thought about, that was chosen deliberately, because the conversation that is about to happen deserves a container that reflects its importance. No table between the chairs. nothing to hide behind or lean on or use as a buffer against the full directness of face to face. Just two chairs facing each other, and the quality of the space between them feels expectant in a way that I can feel from here. One of these chairs is waiting for you. And what I want you to notice about this image is the equality of it. The arrangement does not position one person above the other, does not suggest that one person holds the power in this conversation and the other is waiting to receive a verdict. Both chairs are the same, both positions are equivalent. This is a conversation between two people who are meeting each other, not a situation where one person is granting something to another. You are not a supplicant in this conversation. You are a participant, an equal one, someone whose presence and response in this exchange matters as much as what is being brought to it. Someone whose yes, when it comes, carries weight equivalent to the weight of what is being offered. Hold that awareness as this approaches. I want to pause here and speak to the Virgo who has been doing the inner work of becoming ready for this, because I think in readings that center on what someone else is about to do, what someone else is ready to say, it can be easy to position yourself as purely passive, as the one who is waiting while the other person acts, as the recipient of something rather than the co-creator of it. But that framing is not accurate to what I see. The reason this conversation is arriving now, the reason this person has arrived at this particular threshold of readiness at this particular moment in time is not independent of you. It is not something that happened in isolation on their side of the dynamic while you were simply standing still. Your becoming has been pulling them forward. The version of you that exists right now, grounded, clear, self-possessed, in full ownership of what you want and what you deserve, has been exerting a gravitational pull on this situation that you may not have fully registered from the inside. The quiet, consistent, entirely unperformed quality of who you are and how you have been showing up has made this conversation feel not only possible to them, but necessary. You did not manufacture this moment. You grew into it. And there is a profound difference between those two things. Tell me in the comments if you feel that. If you sense that something in you has genuinely shifted in the lead up to this, that you are not in the same internal place you were when you first started hoping for this conversation, tell me what changed in you, because I think the community here needs to hear that the waiting was not passive for any of you. I want to go back to this person for a moment and describe something specific about how they are likely to approach this conversation, because I think knowing the quality of what is coming will help you be present for it rather than managing your own reactions to it as it unfolds. They are going to lead with something true, not with a preamble designed to soften the landing or protect themselves from the vulnerability of full directness, not with a long setup that keeps the essential thing at a safe distance until they feel certain of your response. Something in this person's energy tells me that the way they are coming into this conversation has a quality of having decided to simply say it that is going to feel different from how they have communicated with you before. More direct, more open, with less of the careful management of self-presentation that people engage in when they are not yet sure enough of themselves or the situation to simply be honest without armor. They are coming without armor. And that, for someone who has perhaps kept certain things carefully protected until now, is not a small thing. It is the evidence of the kind of trust that only builds over real time through real experience. the trust that tells a person that the specific human being in front of them is safe to be fully honest with. They trust you with this. That trust is part of what they are bringing to the conversation. There is one more image I want to describe before we move toward the close of this reading. I see light coming through a window, morning light. The specific quality of it, the angle and the warmth and the way it makes ordinary things look slightly more significant than they do in other kinds of light, tells me something about the timing and the feeling of what is coming. There is a quality of newness in this light, of something beginning rather than continuing, of the particular freshness that belongs to moments where a threshold has just been crossed and the air on the other side of it feels genuinely different from the air before. And in this light, I see the aftermath of the conversation, not the conversation itself, what comes after, the quality of space between two people who have said the true thing and been heard saying it. The particular kind of ease that replaces tension when something that needed to be spoken has finally been spoken and the speaking of it did not damage anything, but instead, in the way that honest things sometimes do, made everything around it more stable rather than less. That ease is coming. That morning light quality of something newly begun and solidly grounded is what is waiting on the other side of this conversation. And it has been waiting for you specifically. Virgo, I want to say something as we close that I think you need to hear in the simplest possible terms. You did not imagine this. The thing you have been sensing in the space between you and this person, the accumulation of unsaid things, the quality of a connection that has outgrown the container it has been living in, the feeling that something real is building toward a moment of declaration. You did not imagine any of it. Your instincts were accurate. Your reading of the situation was correct. The patience you have been practicing was not patience in the service of something that was never going to arrive. It was patience in the service of something that needed its own time to become ready. And it is ready. They are ready. The conversation you have been waiting for is not a future possibility anymore. It is not something you are holding space for in the realm of hope. It is approaching in the realm of the actual, in the real, immediate, near future territory of your actual life. What I want to leave you with is not excitement, though excitement is completely appropriate. I want to leave you with settledness, the kind that comes from knowing that what is arriving is real, that the ground beneath it is solid, that what is about to be said has been genuinely meant for long enough that its meaning will not shift or soften after the saying of it. You are about to be met in the most specific, most clear, most honest way by someone who has finally found both the clarity and the courage to say out loud what you have both already known for longer than either of you has been willing to admit. Let it land, all of it, without deflection, without immediate analysis, without the Virgo impulse to understand it before you have finished receiving it. Just let it land. If this reading touched something real today, if it named the specific quality of the waiting you have been doing in a way that made it feel seen and understood, leave me a comment. Tell me what you have been holding. Tell me what this talk means to you. Tell me if you felt something shift as you listened. I am here. I read everything you bring to this space, and I will see you in the next one.